Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And then like in that era,
Mhm.
something else that was impressive to me was what was going on in Cincinnati. Cincinnati at that time frame around 18 roughly about 1830 till about 1860, Cincinnati had a lot of black people who were making money. I mean, you had a group of guys who got together and they created a real estate investment company.
Mm.
What do they call it? I got the name right here. The Iron Chest Company.
Mm.
It was a real estate firm, you know,
Mm.
and they had buildings that they rented to white people.
Oh wow. Mm.
So 2,200 Negroes accumulated about $209,000 worth of property.
Hmm.
They were
Back then,
cooking back then.
they're doing it,
Back
and that's
then.
another like mini Black Wall Street type of thing.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And, you know, black people who are now contributing and actually economically exceeding whites.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, and that's really that's the history. Like if we learn this on a regular basis as
Mm.
kids, we would have seen ourselves in such a different light. Society would have seen
Yes.
black people in a different
Yes.
light.
Yes.
You know, it's even like when you go back to the game, right? If our history, we hear these types of things all the time,
Hmm.
and these types of stories, we see each other different. Now we see the black man as the CEO or the president all the time because
Yep.
that's how we've been.
Yep.
We've had businesses versus the opposite where they make us out to be criminals.
And like 90, I guarantee you 95% of our population just everyday Joes won't know that this many people, this many black people bought themselves out of slavery, started businesses, and did all of these things like that. You know, like even back or in the 18 or early 1900s, we don't even think about like rich people being like, black unless they're famous for like singing, dancing, basketball, or something
Did
like
you
that.
even think it was possible?
No,
Like
I
when
didn't
you
think
were
it was possible. I didn't
right?
know it was possible.
Yeah,
Like I grew up literally thinking that that rich stuff was not for me.
right. And the possibility, like when you coming up and you learning about slavery,
Yeah.
did it ever cross your mind that it was possible that somebody could have bought themselves out of slavery?
No, never. Never.
Right? Never crossed. Like if I heard it as a kid, I'm like, huh?
Bought his
How
freedom.
does that work?
How you buy your freedom?
You know, you wouldn't think it.
Yeah.
And they damn sure wasn't about to tell us
Mm-mm.
that that was going on.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
They ain't sharing that information.
Ain't giving no hope for that.
Nah, they buried that history.
Because like, you know, when you see and you hear and you learn stories, that's believing and you know that opens up a whole nother window for you.
Yeah, facts.
And that's obviously that's why we do the show. So we can kind of open up more windows for people so we can see like, hey, there was success here even amongst the slavery times.
Yep.
There was success. It took, I mean, obviously it took a lot. It was probably a lot harder because you were a slave, but understand it can be done. So whatever you're dealing with in these times, yes, I know things are hard. I know things are not set up for us, etc. But if you are consistent and you have the will to make it happen, we've seen it where people were slaves and were able to buy freedom and then go on to do successful things. There's no reason to think that we cannot do the same thing now.
Exactly. And that's really why it's so important to find out about these stories so that people can truly understand. Again, you got another community that
Mhm.
of black folks. And again, it always goes back to like today, why are there no rich black neighborhoods?
Why are there no rich black neighborhoods?
And if this would have been able to survive, because we still always go through this process with white people where it's like the envy and the hate, they see the prosperity and it's just like, no, we can't have that.
And they take it away.
They take it
and then
away.
erase it and whitewash it.
Right.
I mean, it does. It really is in a sense. Like, but it happens in little pockets all over the place, all the time.
Something interesting that came up as I was reading is there was another story of a white woman who said two black men basically did something to her and it wasn't true. So now it's like the more and more I hear it, I'm like, man, that was the playbook.
Right, right. That was the playbook.
That was the
Yeah, I mean,
playbook.
but that's what my mom said that to me all the time. Though when I was in college and stuff like that, Lee, they done got Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what she would
Yeah.
say. Like those types, you
Right.
better watch out. You know,
Yeah.
like because I mean, it is the playbook.
Oh yeah.
Like white woman scream rape about black men, it's over, and we all know that.
Yep.
It's a right. It didn't even matter if you didn't do it.
Done.
And
Just the
to
fact that
this
she
day,
said it.
in my
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder voice, to this day.
Right.
And it's because that's embedded in our culture.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
It's very sickening.
It's absolutely crazy. And you know, we as black people, we have to go back to this essence, to this root of our ability to create. We are the ultimate creators.
Yeah.
You know, and we always find a way.
Mm-hmm.
We always can find a lane. We always can find, you know, an opportunity. You know, and that's what we just got to remind ourselves when I see people not wanting to push. It's like, no, you don't understand what's on the other side of pushing.
Yeah.
You just got to push. Don't stop pushing, because if this dude can buy himself out of slavery, free Frank McWhorter, you know, if these people can do it, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I
Come
can
on.
understand. I can also understand why, you know, because of the oppression. Like, and you don't, and one, you don't know these stories.
Right.
So if you don't know these stories, which goes back to knowledge and reading, which is, and as far as like our people, we definitely need to do more reading because it's abundant everywhere now. But if you don't read, you can't research and find out these things. Therefore, you will be blind to it, and you'll always think there's a glass ceiling above you, and then you'll blame other people because you think that's a glass ceiling.
Facts.
But if you hear the stories and you research and you understand that, hey, you know, people bought themselves out of slavery. You know, people did this. They had property back then. You know, all of these things happen amongst way more oppression, at least physical oppression, back in those days where they you know, put fear in us. You were lynching, all these things like that. Like, if you understand that, then there will be hope.
And that's the key.
And that's why reading is so important.
Yep. Because for me, this is always like inspiring.
Yes.
You know,
It's
just
empowering.
just to and really because of the fact that we really had in this era, people had wealth. Like real wealth. Like if you own buildings that you're renting out,
Yeah.
it's monopoly. You know, you got to think if you've ever played Monopoly. And in Monopoly, once you start buying property and then you start putting houses on it, you make so much
Make
more
money.
money in the
Yes,
game.
sir.
It really, if you're playing against somebody that don't have that, it's pretty much game over. I don't care how much money you saving over there.
Yeah.
Wait till you go around this board.
Let me get
I'm
me.
gonna take everything in
Yeah,
that bank.
hey, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. I'll take
Hey,
that.
don't step on. Don't get on Park Place or Boardwalk. It's a
Right?
wrap, bro. If
Yeah.
you know, if you got Boardwalk Park Place, it's a wrap. That's premium property right there, bro.
Premium property.
Premium property.
And mess around and get a hotel on that thing.
right.
Shoot, that's $1,000 every time somebody come around. So you know, this is just amazing stuff. Like to hear about Robert Gordon and what he was able to achieve, and the fact that this man was able to do so many great things and create a family, and his father-in-law was a businessman, and you know, he just had that circle, and really what people don't understand is that envy and hate that the white people gave the black people in that era was unreal. Because not only did you have to deal with that, but then they would just create laws. They had the black laws where, you know, there was a time where kids couldn't go to school. They couldn't be educated. It was illegal. And that, right close to that era, you know, where, you know, you couldn't be on a jury. Huh? So that means if you were black and you were accused of a crime, it was guaranteed that the jury was going to be all white because it was black laws.
You couldn't be on. Black people couldn't be on the jury.
Yeah, laws only for black people. And the crazy thing about it is, you have that, but then you're still allowed to make money. You can make money,
But you can't vote.
but you can't vote. You can't be on a jury. You can't be a police officer. You know, so it's just like, and that's what people don't understand. That's real. That's the systemic racism, right? When you create the black laws, that's the systemic racism. Because yes, sure, I can make money. I could go buy a car, but I don't have the same rights and privileges as you do. So it's not the same experience. It's not the same thing. I don't have power.